I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
It's a vibe today.
It is. It's a little vibey. It's a little dark.
It's a mood.
It is a mood. I want to start with a very important announcement, a programming announcement about Dumb Witch Club.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Starting today, in this episode, we're not going to do a why though segment.
Yeah. No more why though. And you might be asking why though.
Why though?
Though.
You may ask. The reason is we've had so much fun and so much success with our monthly energy reports that come out as witching hours, just like the little short episodes. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep doing that.
Yes.
We are also going to keep doing sort of as a witching hour segment kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something major astrologically that we really want to highlight,
exactly.
Kind of like we just did in the Saturn retrograde survival guide, right?
Yes.
So we're going to keep that stuff over there. And over here on these main episodes, we're going to stick to big witch energy. So that's what you're getting.
It's big. The energy's big.
We needed more room.
We needed more room for
energy.
So that's why though. We eliminated why though, which it'll always be in our hearts. And we will always still be asking why though. We still will.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that we will be addressing those questions at the other times on the other places. Different time, different channel.
The same channel.
Same channel.
Just different times.
Different times.
You heard it here, so now you understand.
I feel like an anchor. I feel like a news anchor.
I know.
That you just had like a breaking news.
I know.
And
I needed
they
one of those
put it
little
on your desk.
beep, 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 like those little things.
That goes
like so
by.
urgent. Yeah, and they're like handing you the papers.
And you're like, that's just in.
Yes. I know.
Yeah. And I was just like, the co-anchor. I didn't know. And you're just looking at me like, just
or like
roll
you're
with
hearing it in your ear.
Yeah, just
you're like so I'm hearing
they're telling me
the
that
Kennedy assassination or something.
Right? That's so wild. Isn't that like people waited to see that?
You had to. That was all you could do.
No other choice. And it would just like pop up and people remember like, oh, I was there and like it popped up.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
But like it's not even popped up. Like that's what we say now because of the internet.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, it was on the airwaves.
It was on the...
People stood in front of like television stores.
I love
watch
seeing
the television.
I like seeing that in movies. So it's cool. Cute. And they're like stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, I think that's really true.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's really cute. It reminds me of like a Christmas Story. Like where they're like
or I was thinking of Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah, Forrest Gump. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. There was nothing bad back then. Everything was wonderful for all people. The dream.
Dream time. Maybe.
Anyways.
Maybe not.
Saturn is in retrograde in Pisces. What are we talking about?
We don't know. Nobody knows. Watch that episode if you don't know what you're talking about. Because you probably don't.
Anyways, we are still doing a card pull, though.
Yes.
So let's do a card pull.
We will not eliminate card pull.
No.
We could never do that to you.
No, I love the card pull because it gives us something to like,
No, that one
jumped right out. Gives us something to kind of focus on and reflect on. It kind of sets a vibe, sets a mood for the episode.
Your nails are such a vibe.
Ooh, I know. These are cute ones.
They're so cute.
They have little witchy symbols.
You can't see them, but they're very cute. Maybe I'll make her take a picture for Instagram.
Ooh, can do. Will do.
So check it out over there.
Okay, all right. These are a little stuck together. So.
Yeah. It's hot.
It is hot. The cards are hot.
The cards are languishing. They're like, just go. I don't know what you want from me.
Oh, this is the angel number oracle deck.
I didn't mention it's the angel number oracle deck.
Yes.
Very much vibing with this deck. I let them know that
on
their social media. I was
fantastic.
Like, we use this on our show and we love it. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you love it. I was like, oh,
yeah. We love it. We love you.
Cute. It's very cute. All right.
Wow.
No, I don't want to do that. Nah.
Well, you have to tell them what it is.
Well, okay. It's the number 303, and it is prescribing, I'm about to say me because I picked it, prescribing me to forgive. Forgive what?
First of all, that is a good question. Forgive what?
Forgive what? I don't know. I want to.
Is there something you need to forgive?
I hate this.
Someone or some self parts that you need to forgive? Maybe some shadow parts or wounds?
Of course this comes up on this episode.
Yes, it makes sense.
Why did the Scorpio pick? You never let the Scorpio pick.
No, you are seriously acting like this card is personal. And it's
Again,
not.
Scorpio.
I know, but it's not. Listen, the card is about what we're talking about in this episode
good.
of Dumb Witch Club.
So I don't need to personalize this. Because I very much am at the moment, if you didn't notice.
Okay,
that.
you could work on the concept of forgiveness. I don't know, but maybe you can.
Damn
okay?
it.
I can't tell by this reaction
My
if that is needed or not.
That may or may not be in the notes. Crap. This is horrible. This is art imitating life, imitating art.
Yeah, the card is calling you out. I will.
It is. Why do they do this to
I
me?
know, but the card is also about shadow astrology. And that's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm going to focus on because I don't want this. I'm going to put it over here. You can just go over here.
This episode is about shadow astrology.
It's about shadow astrology.
And it is about forgiving and transforming your unliked, disowned, hidden, hurt parts of self.
Yeah, obviously I'm doing super well with that.
Well, it's a lifelong process.
I'm very well adjusted, if you haven't noticed. They're like, you just had a whole unhinged rant about one card that you chose out of the deck. No. I always pick those moments, too, where it's like, I'm going to pick today, and then it always slaps me in the face.
Also, you wanted to pick. I didn't make you pick.
No, I literally just said that. I'm like, I always have these moments where I'm the one that's like, I'll pick today, and then it's like, what was the one that I kept getting? It was like darkness or something.
And we got like fear.
Yes,
like
fear,
a couple of times.
A couple of times. It was like the death thing, like a couple. And I'm like, okay, this Scorpio needs to stop picking. At one point, you were like, we have to stop this train because you're just spiraling.
I know, but it's not like. Anyway, it's not like you can't do a card pull. You can.
I can. It just really like it feels personal. It feels like the universe is like, oh, you want to pick? You want to do a card pull? Yeah, here.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Shadow astrology.
Okay. Big witch energy. It's here.
It's obviously here.
Like,
I don't know what's happening here.
I'm being oppressed by it.
You
right
are.
now.
I'm sorry.
I don't feel oppressed. I'm joking.
Do you forgive me for that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I love that for me. Perfect. Of course. All right.
Okay, so I think, yes, clearly, our topic today is shadow astrology. So I want to start out by saying this is going to be a part 1 and part 2 situation.
Yes.
Because there is so much rich material here.
Yes.
Even more than we expected.
Hidden in the shadows.
Hidden in the shadows, exactly. So we're going to start with some going through every sign kind of a approach,
yes, right? Which I'm kind of loving because I don't feel like we get to do that a whole lot.
I agree.
It's hard to do, and people ask us for it like quite a bit, and they're like, okay, but you didn't talk about, Gemini, or like, okay, you didn't talk about Taurus, and it's like, I know, but there's only so much time we have, and we kind of tend to like pick, we do have new sign Hoodis episodes for everyone. But yeah, I get it. It's a little bit of an overview. So it is nice that we're getting to every sign with this. Again, it still is a little bit of a quick like blip overview. It has to be because that's so much material. But anyway, you're gonna get yours. So
yes.
That's
so
nice.
I think I already did define this a little bit, but what is shadow astrology, right? Mm-hmm. So the term shadow comes from Carl Jung, who was a psychoanalyst, sort of in the footsteps of Freud, but really actually used astrology a lot in his psychoanalytic theories and approaches, really created the concept of this shadow concept, created the concept of archetypes, lots of different things. Has a lot of really cool books that are kind of like jargony and really like psychoanalysis-y for like the present reader, but really cool stuff. He talks about the universe and serendipity and how things aren't coincidences. Anyway, super cool guy, right? Super cool stuff. So, like I had kind of already said, the shadow is parts of yourself that you have maybe hidden, disowned, that you don't really like, that either are really vulnerable to admit to or just are not pretty.
Yeah.
It's like the darker side. But we all have shadow in ourselves and in our astrology. And the goal of examining all of that is not to run with that and embody it and become that instead of whatever else. It's to integrate that stuff into who you are as a whole person. Because often when you are denying parts of who you are or natural emotions that you may have as a human or something, you end up really overacting and emphasizing those things unintentionally. So anyway, that's kind of an intro from me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. It's the parts that aren't pretty. And here's the thing is that in a lot of other astrology content that you're going to run into, obviously there's some really great stuff, but if you're just kind of stepping into it or you're really looking at kind of what's popular, it will focus on the positive for the most part.
Oh, astrology in general?
Yes.
Oh, yes. And I think it gets criticized for that.
And that is the reason why, because it feels very surface, and, particularly when there's a focus on just the sun sign and then just the positives of that. And, there might be a couple little things mentioned where it's but maybe this, but it's glossed over. And the emphasis in the modern landscape of being into astrology is nameplate necklaces with your sign on it and being proud of, and there's nothing wrong with that. We want you to be proud of the positive things about what you embody, but being able to be truly proud of that is acknowledging the things that need to be brought more into balance. You cannot have light without having shadow also. So while that, and for our purposes here, we're focused on the sign that you want to kind of pay attention to is your sun sign. So we are sort of focused on, this is, the authentic core you, this is your ego, who you are authentically. Obviously, with all that light being shown onto that, there is going to be shadow that's created. And that's not anything to run from or to even, I love that you said, don't just embrace that then and run. Don't become like Batman.
No need.
And just all of a sudden just dip too far over. That's so funny. I've actually never thought of it that way, but that can absolutely happen. I guess you could sort of get radicalized to your shadow side. You don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that. You might have seasons of that, but but synthesizing that information is what gives us power as people who study this, or as witches, if you identify as that. And it just makes us more whole, happy, well-adjusted people. And again, like Jackie said, it's a ongoing journey. It's a process throughout your life. It's nothing to figure out right now. You can see that there are things that I don't handle well. Jesus.
And maybe also, before we dive in, I will just say, like I said, this is going to be part 1, part 2. So today in part 1, we are going to be focusing on kind of that sun sign and going through each of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which is really cool. Because we don't really do that or get to do that too often.
I know, I love it.
And then in part 2, we're going to talk a little bit more about what planet placements you can look at. We're going to talk about different sort of aspects and houses in your chart where you can find out more specifics about where your shadow kind of work might need to take place. So that's kind of how it'll be divided. So
yeah, it's good. We're starting kind of here, and then we'll go way more in depth. So it's a good kind of jumping off point.
Yes, but okay, all right.
All right, starting with your rising sign here.
Oh, yeah. Do you recommend that people can look at their rising sign as well?
Totally.
Okay, so sun or rising. And it's interesting. Rising, the polarity is the descendant, which is going to come up more in part 2 when we talk more about that. But just, so you know, this is all working together, all these different things.
Yeah, sun sign and rising sign if you know what it is. So Aries, starting with Aries.
There's nothing wrong with Aries energy.
Interesting.
So, ironically, the only one that does not have a shadow.
So just moving on.
Oh, also Leo doesn't have a shadow. Those are the only 2.
I'll just cross that one off.
Yeah. Is it even on? Shouldn't be on.
Shouldn't be here. Why is that here? You've made an error.
You made a mistake. I forgive you.
I forgive you. It's the theme of the episode.
Yeah, no, it is. Okay, talk about...
So Aries. So some of the shadow sort of traits that you might see with Aries energy is some aggression, little self-centeredness. What? Never. Perhaps some impulsivity.
Oh my God.
I'm not ever going to name more than 3 things for each sign because I think that starts to get mean. So I'm not going to say more than 3 unless you want to add stuff, but I'm not going to say more than 3.
No.
You're like, I'm not adding anything to that.
Saying anything about that. And I don't know anything about those.
That's fine. I can explain it. You don't have to know. Yes. So, and here's the thing with okay. So we identify those. It's a little bit of that sting, right? Because you don't want to, and you're like, ugh. But then it's going to sting more because we're going to talk about where that comes from a little bit. So those are the things that you're seeing. Those are the things that are manifesting out, right? But where it comes from is that the shadow part is that fear of inadequacy. Mm. So then that's where the behaviors come from, is from that.
Yeah, and I think it is worth pointing out that the way that I'm sort of like playing into this in a way that's funny, but if I'm honest, like there are like emotions behind my eyes and in my chest right now.
100%.
And a lot of shadow work has to do with places where you feel shame.
Oof. Yeah.
And the antidote to shame is to become proud in a healthy way about the person that you are, which is not to be proud of something that is shameful, but it's to transform that into, I'm afraid of being inadequate in this example. But if I'm afraid of being inadequate, I'm going to come off really aggressive and really self-centered. Mm-hmm. But if I can realize I'm not actually inadequate, that's a fear that was placed there from experiences or, lots of different things.
Absolutely.
And that I can create a worthiness within myself, mm-hmm. which makes me not have to act, impulsive and showy.
Absolutely.
To convince other people of that, right? So it's kind of that relationship.
That's absolutely right. Shame is the worst thing a human can feel. It is the most impactful emotion and just the worst thing a human can feel. And to confront that feels yucky. And even when you because most of us do know. Somewhere inside we do know, okay, I'm struggling with those things. I know that's an area that I struggle. Actually vocalizing that or sitting with that is super difficult. And again, this is not anything for you to fix like right away. There's no quick fix to any of this. We will mention a couple things of like, how can you pull this a little bit more in balance? But a lot of that stuff might sound a little frustrating to you because it's not going to be very prescriptive. I mean,
it's very personal.
It's personal, and it might sound kind of vague, and there's a lot of work that you need to do to make it make sense for you. But in terms of that fear of inadequacy, it's moving. Aries has a ton of energy, right? That's one really like positive thing about Aries is that energetic field. But moving some of that towards more of a compassion, more of an empathy for others and for yourself, for both. And it really helps you to see it more for yourself when you can see it in others. As I would say, especially for Aries, because I feel like Aries can definitely do it for other people, but I think have a hard time doing it for themselves. But thinking about that negative self-talk and what's going on there and trying to just change that around and doing exercises and spell work and things like that to change that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, no, this is already highlighting some really powerful stuff. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, take care of yourselves when you're listening to this.
Definitely.
Yeah, it can be like, but we love you. So you're perfect.
Well, yeah, and that's why we're talking about this, because it is a worthwhile place to take a look and grow into the best person that you can be.
Yes, that we really believe you can be.
Definitely. So, all right, are we done talking about Aries?
Yes, we're done. We're moving on to Taurus.
Okay,
we're on Taurus now.
Perfect. That's also...
Let's offend some more people.
Yeah. Sounds good. I wonder who.
Let's move the offensive train on. Okay, so Taurus... Let's see if this makes any sense to you. Stubbornness, mm-hmm. resistance to change, mm-hmm. Controlling.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna say any more than those.
No, I've heard of those things.
Yeah.
And look, I don't have Taurus placements, so this is not me.
No.
But, still.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is rooted around a fear of a loss in general. And instability.
And having to like hold so tight onto everything.
Yes, like I'm not going to feel secure at all unless I'm controlling all of it, everything.
Well, yeah, because if I'm not, I might feel the slightest bit insecure, and I cannot even allow that.
No.
Right?
No, cannot handle that. Cannot handle that. Which, gosh, like...
it's hard.
It's heavy. That's so heavy. Like, just that weight, right? That weight. In a world where intellectually you know that you can't do that.
Yes.
And everyone does know, but like they will still feel like they have to, and if they don't, then those feelings are going to come, and then that's going to lead to that staying so stuck. And even in situations that are just awful.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So how do you work on that? Well, you know, that flexibility is key. Really trying to work on being as flexible as possible. Honoring and praising oneself, I think, is really important for the shadow side of Taurus. They do not do that.
Yeah. Appreciating themselves first.
They don't do that.
Instead of just working to the bone for everyone and everything around them.
And still telling themselves that, you know, it's not enough, or that
they should be doing more.
Or that they really don't understand anything. Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can hear the shame coming in those statements as well.
Totally. And I think that, you know, sometimes when we say, you know, this is something that you could do, and we've done this with spell work that we've proposed that people do. Sometimes we get like comments, or people tell us like, well, that's, you know, easy for you to say, or like that's easier said than done. We know that. No one's saying that any of this is easy, and you don't even have to believe it to do it. That's the thing. You don't have to believe anything completely, truly, firmly in your heart to act on it. Acting your way into something is much easier than feeling your way into something.
Yeah, because you can choose where your hands and feet go, but you can't choose where your feelings go directly, you know?
Exactly. So yeah, you're gonna say these things, and when you feel these things coming up, you're gonna change them around, and you're gonna say these things until you do start to believe it. And if you do it enough, you will, and it will start to come more naturally. I know they're like, no, it's not going to. It will.
No, but I think, and some of this also starts to go back to like other concepts we've talked about, like in embodied witchcraft.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Even like anxiety witch, you know, some of those concepts where we talk more about specifics about how you talk to yourself, how you can transform your, you know, kind of feeling things in your body and stuff like this. So I think those episodes are useful to support like the specifics you're giving here.
So much so. And those are great. There are episodes. They are.
They are.
They are.
They're really good.
They are. I love the episodes that are very much like love letters to you all, because I feel like that's such an aim of what we're doing here, is to make you feel so included and to feel like you're worthy of anything you want and anything every person you want to be, whatever. So I love those ones because I think they're very encouraging. So
agree.
Okay, Gemini.
Oh, really? Let's see how you feel about this one. No, I'm just kidding.
I was honest about every single one.
Okay.
I felt
Do you want me to read it?
I felt like I had to do this, like, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was like doing it, even just preparing. I was like,
Okay. All right, I'm going to read it. So for Gemini, we have superficiality,
who's she?
Manipulation, and flakiness. Oof.
Yeah, it's not great.
No, those hurt to say and hear.
Yeah, they hurt. It's bad.
But underneath that is this fear of being ignored or misunderstood.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's yucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, yeah. And you're going to see a lot of like crossover and fears and the way they're manifesting, like some of these are going to feel a little synonymous. Like, oh, well, that's just a different version of this. Yes, absolutely. You're going to see that.
And it's, I think, because coming back to that shame running underneath all of this.
Exactly.
Like, shame has a pretty limited vocabulary, let's be honest. Shame tells different people different things, but it's all the same crap.
Yeah.
It all comes down to, like, nobody likes you. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares.
Yeah, you're worthless.
You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? You know, that's the messaging of shame. So, yeah.
So awful.
It is. It's awful.
Yeah.
But specifically for this Gemini, it's this kind of being ignored and just not being seen, heard, misunderstood, etc.
Yeah, that being misunderstood is like such a big part of it. And so, you know, then I feel like the way that it's expressed is to lean into that and then just be manipulative in, you know, interactions, or then just be surface level. Cause it's like, if you're not going to see the real me, then I'm just going to be this like fake, you know, stupid version.
Yeah. Or even this like, oh, well, there is no real me. What do you mean? This is the real me, you know?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, which is just that disowning part of yourself.
Yes.
You know? So, yeah, for sure.
And can become like really just bad with like dissociating from your actual self. And yeah, it's I think a really good place to start, if this feels true to you, is practicing less output, because I feel like Gemini energy, it's a lot of output. It's a lot of filling silences and conversations, and right, even like to yourself, just like so many thoughts and just like they keep racing. It's like trying to slow those down, to calm those down, being okay with silence, just being there, being okay with letting someone not respond to you.
Right.
Somebody not paying attention to what you just said and actually ignoring you, and sitting with like, okay, not everybody doesn't have to pay attention to every single thing that I say, and sort of sitting with that and like, what does that mean and how do I feel about it? Yeah, I think that's really important in our work.
Not everyone is going to understand you.
No.
And it's not your job to convince them of how to understand you.
Exactly.
In all cases. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Gemini.
Okay.
Cancer.
Oh.
Aww.
Oh, I don't want Cancers to hear this.
I know, I feel bad. It's so funny you say that, because I literally did. I felt bad. I had a moment of like, oh no.
But you know what? That is silly, because they are strong enough. They can hear things and take it in, and they can sort out how they feeling. So let's hear it.
Yeah. So Cancer, y'all know there's a little bit of mood swing. A little bit of mood swing, a lot of sensitivity. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of emotion. Over emotion sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Cancers is a very sort of classic fear that you will hear people talk about in all kinds of different subject matter, but the fear of rejection is where that stems from.
Yeah.
And so many people struggle with having a fear of rejection. I feel like that's pretty universal, but Cancers feel it in such a deep way. You feel everything in a deep way, so.
No, exactly. And as a mom blessed with 2 daughters who are both Cancer risings, but have different sun signs, one is also a Cancer sun. Yeah. I see this come out at times, especially with each other, when sometimes they're not being as loving and forgiving as they should be.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, and we acknowledge that it's hard. You know, boundaries are so important. And I know that's kind of a buzzword, and it's a little bit broad and everything like that. It is, but I mean, it's healthy and it's important. And learning even what boundaries means, because the word is tossed around a lot. So maybe even just kind of like reading some material on what are actual boundaries, like what is healthy, what are healthy ways of setting them, can I actually do this? Yes, you can, and you should. And sometimes people think of setting boundaries as very much for protecting yourself from other people who are like trying to do things to you, whatever. Yeah, that's part of it. But boundaries are also so important for yourself, and not allowing you to hurt your own self. And I think Cancers would really benefit from that particularly.
Yeah. So it's like, physical boundaries with other people, emotional boundaries with other people, but then the emotional boundaries within yourself, because sometimes people can confuse boundaries with requests.
Yes, that's true.
And a boundary is not, hey, don't do that to me. A boundary is, if you do that to me, I will not engage. If you do that to me, I will leave. You know? And that's what a boundary is. You choose what you do.
Yes.
And you can ask other people to treat you differently, and hopefully they listen, you know? But if they don't, you have to be prepared to do what you need to stay healthy and safe. So...
Yes, absolutely. And it really does start to sort of like what we mentioned with Taurus, like saying it until you believe it. It's kind of the same thing here.
Yeah.
Those boundaries that you set and you stick to, that you're teaching other people the way they need to treat you, you will start to adopt that for yourself. And then you will be like, no, I set that boundary. And so then there won't be any more feedback in that feedback loop of making you spiral into emotionality over things that you shouldn't be emotional over because it's not worth it.
Yeah, and eventually, you know, when you do this kind of work and you're like vibrating higher, you attract people to you who have a higher vibration as well and who aren't crossing your boundaries so much and things like that. So,
such a good point.
Right?
I know. And I love how we're both adopting it like, this is what you do because we care about so many cancers. We're like,
it's okay,
and then it's going to be better. And then you know what? You're not going to just...
You're going to feel good about yourself.
And they're going to be out of your life.
Yeah, literally.
We are.
So true.
True. It's true.
I know.
So.
Yeah, so many lovely, wondrul Cancer humans come to mind.
I know.
I love you all.
Love you all. Don't let people hurt you.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll hurt them back.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
You're ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Just go listen. No, I'm ready. We're on Leo. Go. Just say it.
We're on Leo. Go. I love how you ripped the Band-Aid first. Okay, Leo. There could be arrogance. It could be there.
Who, me?
Who? What?
Wouldn't.
There could be some attention-seeking behaviors. That's all I'm going to say, because that's enough.
That's really sad. We only get 2.
I didn't want to put more. I was scared.
I'm mad as a Leo that I didn't get enough shadow qualities.
I think I'm doing the right thing, and then you're like, wait a second.
But like, I'm like, how arrogant and attention-seeking is that?
Oof.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, 2's enough. That's fine.
It's enough. It's enough. And when it's those 2, it's enough.
It is.
Okay, so this fear is the fear of insignificance.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. If I'm not in the spotlight, then do I actually exist?
Yeah. Do I even matter?
Do I
even exist?
Am I anything? Yeah. I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Seriously.
It's that vibe.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is that vibe. And yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't have Leo placements, obviously, but I totally understand this because we can all understand all of these things, and I totally understand it.
Yeah.
I think that one of the ways to work on it is one of the ways that Leo is actually so amazing, though I think it's something that's not talked about a lot, and I don't even think Leos often recognize themselves for this. I think one of the ways is really practicing propping others up.
Mm-hmm.
That you admire and that you notice things about and that you find inspiration from. Not to an unhealthy level, but...
No, not, at the detriment of yourself.
Of course.
But...
Right.
Because it doesn't actually diminish yourself to prop up someone else.
Exactly.
It actually enhances yourself in that positive way where you are significant because you're doing for them, not just showing yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes even just what you just demonstrated there, the thought process behind it and kind of talking yourself through that, mm-hmm. I think that's what some Leo placements need to do, like to say that, literally say that or write that or do spells around just because somebody else is shining doesn't mean I'm not shining, or just because I am propping someone else up doesn't mean that I'm diminished, and it doesn't mean that everyone's going to forget about me. We can all benefit, and it can be more of a collaborative thing.
Yes, and I do think, I mean, to this point, I think Leo, and again, as a Leo sun and moon, I do feel like there can be this tendency to like a scarcity mentality almost.
100%.
And this feeling of like, well, you know, there's not enough and I have to get what I can and what I deserve, right? But everyone deserves, and there's plenty to go around, and we have to like shift that mindset to like, yeah, everyone can have a piece of the pie, you know?
Yes, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, and we can all, you know, benefit from that. And certainly I think Leo knows they have a unique specialness, and that's fantastic. But I know they're really good at recognizing unique special qualities in other people. And they serve a really important role in being able to model that for others, which benefits others greatly.
That's true, yeah.
And also benefits them.
Yes.
Because it shows them, okay, other people can also, but it also shows them, yeah, I am unique and special. And it contributes to that positive self-talk about who you really are, and not just who you are when the spotlight's on you.
Yes, or yeah, who you want to project yourself to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oof, real talk. Okay.
I know.
All right.
All right, Virgo, your turn. Ooh, okay.
I feel like this one's going to be brutal. I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
Virgos are like, okay, fine.
Just tell me.
You have to say
what
it?
is it?
I have the pen. Go ahead. Just say it.
I'm ready.
Just say it. I'm ready. I don't care. Why are you so pressed about it?
I don't care what it is.
I don't care what it is.
Tell me.
Just say it. And then they're like, oh. I know.
And they're like, that is true. And that is true. Okay, done here. We're done.
And they're just like, ugh.
Seething. Okay, what do we got?
All right.
What do we got for Virgo?
A little perfectionism.
Yep.
Sometimes a lot.
Yep.
Anxiety.
Yes.
Rigidity.
Yep. I've seen those at work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same.
I don't mean at my job. I mean...
Seen them at play.
Yes.
At work. Yeah. Seen them play out.
Although I've seen them at my job, too. So I guess
So have I.
both. We all have.
Yes, we all have.
Yes. Okay. Perfectionism, anxiety, rigidity. Yeah.
Yeah, and like somewhat similar to Leo, but in a slightly different flavor. But a fear of those a fear of being flawed.
Right, of being imperfect.
Being imperfect and being inadequate, therefore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, it does. I mean, obviously, it's another earth energy, so it makes sense hearkening back to that kind of Taurus vibe.
Energy.
But I mean, it's its own kind of different flavor, too, like you said. But that sense of like, if everything is perfect, then whatever I already know inside me is not perfect will never be seen by anyone or acknowledged. And so I don't ever need to acknowledge it either, even though I still know it's there. Because cognitively they know nothing's perfect, including themselves.
Absolutely.
So they're always in that little battle, which I think leads to the anxiety. And, you know, it all's playing out, man.
Yeah. And that anxiety, that place of anxiety, nothing good comes out of that. It just they're operating in a space that makes no sense and is not logical, and they can't possibly live up to it. And then
it's sad.
And yeah, it's sad. It's sad for them. And then the yucky parts of, you know, the shadow side of who we are sometimes, it bleeds out onto other people. It leaks out onto other people. And then there's that perfectionism projected onto others and that attitude. And that is no good for anybody. That's no good for any human. You said it was going to be rough. And it is, because I feel like that trait is the most close to like the literal definition of shame. Like, specifically.
Yeah. No, and it's
hating yourself for being human. Like, that's literally what this is.
Right, not even being able to let yourself just be human.
Yeah, because that's inherently what we are as humans, is flawed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that's rough. That's super rough.
Yes, stressful.
So stressful. But again, it's similar advice. It's, you really have to start practicing that mindset of compassion for yourself, acknowledging the humanness of who you are, of who others are.
Yeah, and that is okay.
Yeah.
It is okay.
It's okay. It's not just okay. It's what makes it's what makes life beautiful and varied and different and all these things, you know?
Right. Yeah, you could start with neutral. It's okay.
Yes, you can start with that.
And then you can go even to like seeing it as a positive, seeing it as a benefit. You know, that mistakes lead to new knowledge and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And learning, and Virgos love learning, so, you know, leads to learning more. Right. You're just going to learn more, and that's great. They love that.
Right.
I think, too, like, spell work or mindfulness around, like, present moment.
Yes.
Like grounding and stuff like that. I think that's really important because I think that's a Virgo trait. A lot of people do it, but Virgos especially, to forward project and sort of spiral into like, if this, then that,
worrying
and this,
about
and then that.
everything,
Yeah, and then that's going to happen, and then this is going to happen. And so really grounding into like, no, that doesn't mean that the domino effect is going to happen. It doesn't mean that the piano is going to fall. It could just be this. It can just be this, and we can get past this.
Yes.
And move on.
Yeah, great. Good advice. Good stuff.
All right, Libra, you're up.
Okay.
All right, we know what Libras deal with.
Well, we know what we deal with when we're dealing with a Libra.
Sorry.
Which we don't do as often anymore, except in the cat form.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a decision that was made. That was a choice. Yeah, so, which is what is hard for Libras to do, is make a choice. So, yeah, indecisiveness. Conflict avoidant. I know, it's so frustrating.
Everything in me is like squirming.
Well, it's the antithesis of you, so.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to.
Yeah. And frankly, it's the antithesis of me. It just,
Well, yeah, I mean, from a different angle, but yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not at all indecisive. I don't think I've ever been indecisive. I wish I were more indecisive. I wish that I could see more choices. I never do.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the opposite of that is being impulsive and,
yeah,
you know, whatever that Aries energy is.
Okay. I suppose people could identify with conflict avoidant. I mean, a lot of people are conflict avoidant, but this is to a different level.
Yeah.
There's conflict avoidant, and then there's like Libra energy being conflict avoidant, which is like, it becomes an insidious thing because it's there still, and there's all kinds of stuff around it, but it's just not being discussed.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, not to add one into here, it seems really unfair to add another one in here, but I think it's like this people-pleasing variety.
100,000%, yes.
Which is construed with the underlying fear, which I know you're going to mention, but it's construed as this way of making everyone happy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
No.
You can never accomplish that.
No.
And it really just serves yourself to make yourself think you're being a good person.
Yeah.
When you're not being authentic. So,
exactly.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and that's all rooted, that people-pleasing, it's all rooted in a fear of disapproval.
Exactly.
From others, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, it's rough. That's a rough place to be, and it's a very frustrating place to be. I mean, obviously, you can see our reactions as being frustrated by having that energy around and trying to navigate through that, which is really hard to do because it's very closed off and inauthentic. Mm-hmm. But it's also frustrating for Libras who are dealing with that because they're just trying to do the right thing. Like, they're like, even right now, they're probably like, what did we do? Like, we're literally just trying to make you happy, and like, we never can.
I know, exactly. Exactly.
Like, you're never happy. Like, yeah, because it's not up to you to do that. Yep. So it just isn't. And so trying to let go of being the mayor of that town mm-hmm. is a really good idea. Just working on ways of asserting opinions that you do have, because there will be some that you really do and you feel strongly about. So asserting those, and people will be refreshed by that.
And whether or not others approve of those opinions, if those are true, authentic statements of who you are and your beliefs.
Yes.
Not judgments of other people or what they should do, but this is what I've decided I'm going to do. Even if other people don't approve.
Yes.
You start doing those things, even in the smallest ways, starting small, right?
Yes. And not waffling when people confront you about it.
Right.
Or, this is what I believe. And this is, I've done the work on it, because that's the thing with Libras too, is that they do. They do the work. They do. They weigh everything out. And sometimes that's, where the indecisiveness comes. But once the scales lock in, they lock in. You're capable of it. So once you do, asserting that,
yes,
it's going to be a really well-rounded, thought. Yes. We know it's going to be. And working on tapping into a little bit more of the intuitiveness that is in there.
Trusting yourself.
That you can lock the scales at some point, and that's done.
And it's the right choice because you made it.
Yes. Yes. And I think spell work and journaling and stuff like that on core identity, like values, things like that, I think that's really important for Libra, because
totally.
Sometimes they're so busy adopting like everybody's perspective that they don't nail down their own.
I think that's right. And I think that's really good advice for Libras.
Good.
Okay, we're moving on to Scorpio.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Do you want me to read them? Okay. I'm going to read them. Yeah, I know. I know. Oh my goodness. Okay, Scorpio. We have obsessiveness.
Okay.
Vengefulness.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obsessiveness, vengefulness. Yeah, these are those are tough, because those are both very extreme. And I know all of these are in the extreme, but those are very extreme.
They are. They're accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's accurate. It's very accurate. And it is tough. Because it literally is a fear that is around paranoia.
Oh yeah.
It's a complete
it's off. I mean,
paranoia.
Yeah. Left unfettered, it is just runs wild.
It does. It's very hard, because it's this fear. It's, again, similar shades of these other things. Fear of betrayal, but betrayal is not the whole thing, because betrayal happens, but that's not the thing that they're really scared of. The thing they're really scared of is that the betrayal is going to happen, and then the abandonment happens after that. And it's from both sides. It's, if the betrayal happens, I have to abandon. And I know that I'm going to feel that way, and that really sucks. But I know as a Scorpio that that's going to happen. Or that they're going to do it, and then they're going to abandon me, and everything I thought to be true is a lie.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's like your entire reality
pretty much
breaking apart,
Pretty much. Yeah, which is then, again, with like the pole of the Taurus energy, like it's a control thing, just in a different way. But yeah, they want to have control.
Yeah.
And when they don't, it's like everything's going to crash down, or like everyone's talking about me.
Well, yeah, and if I can find out every single thing about every single thing that's ever happened, or whatever this person or whatever, then I can regain the power.
Yeah.
And if I can exact this revenge on this person and get them back for what they did to me, because they deserve that, then I will be vindicated finally.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but this is the shadow side we're talking about. Yeah. This is the dark side of this. So what's some advice?
So some advice is practicing, even though it's the worst thing you would ever want to do, but practicing that vulnerability, letting yourself.
And that's why, obviously, she hated the forgive
I hated it. You saw my reaction. I hate that.
But it doesn't mean you've never forgiven someone for something.
No, I forgive people. I really do it. And see, this is I'm glad you said that, because you're demonstrating exactly what it needs to be. You have to sink into that and then reflect on, but did you die?
Right.
No, you didn't. And guess what? Like, everything still went on the way that it was, and karma still does what it's going to do, and you don't have to do it. Yeah, you don't have to become Batman. I feel like what you were talking about was Scorpio. You don't have to, or I guess become the Joker. Like, you don't have to do that.
No.
You shouldn't do that, because then it gets chaotic. it's easy to get chaotic in that placement. You don't have to do that. And being vulnerable is not going to kill you. It still may hurt you, but that's okay. We all get hurt. That's totally fine, and it's not going to kill you, and you're going to be a better person for it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, especially if you're willing to experience pain in the service of growth. That is what's required for growth.
And
is being willing to tolerate and experience painful emotions.
Absolutely.
And make painful decisions.
Yes, and Scorpio has a natural proclivity to that transformation. If you can embrace that and transmute that into something positive, it's a natural ability to do that. But that's probably why, on the shadow side, we hate it so much because...
Well, no, and I think it's within each of these, there is built in within it the antidote.
Yes.
It's in there already.
Yes.
So whatever placements you have, whatever these qualities that we're naming, it means you already also have the skills to address that stuff.
Yeah.
So fear not.
Fear not.
Okay.
All right.
Sagittarius.
Getting to the end here. Sagittarius. Restlessness. Tactlessness.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Jesus. Escapism.
Ding, ding, ding.
This is not the only time that term is going to come up, but yes.
Oh, yeah. I know where it's coming up next.
Yep. But yeah, the fear is rooted in being restricted, held down, imprisoned, and or judged for... Right? Not even necessarily those things, but not being restricted, but then being judged for everything, all the choices, or everything that comes after.
Being restricted because you've been judged. And then, well, that's weird and bad, and so we can't let you do that stuff, you know, type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, there just needs to be a lot of introspection with where is that restlessness coming from? Where is that fear of judgment coming from? Where are these stemming from? Because that escapism part comes in, and then there's just no work being done if you get to that point.
Right.
And so I think similar to Virgo, present moment grounding, I think especially for Sagittarius, gratefulness, a focus on that is super important.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For that placement.
Gratitude,
yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Yes, agree.
Okay. Good.
Ooh, Capricorn.
Yeah, I put 2 down. Pessimism, workaholism.
Yep. And
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there could be more there, but I think those are kind of the main 2. And again, this fear is going to look kind of similar, but fear of failure, inadequacy. It sounds just like Virgo, but it's in a very different way, because I don't think Capricorns struggle as much with doing things wrong. I don't think they care about that. I think they're I'm going to do this the way I got this.
Yeah, because I think that they have this, the Capricorn also lends this ability for them to think that their way is the right way.
Exactly.
They're not striving for some ideal perfection. They're well, this is how I think it should be, so it's correct.
Exactly. It's such a different thing, but it's more of their own litmus test of not living up to what they've set up for themselves and what they expect of themselves, and just not meeting it and not being able to.
Totally. So painful.
I mean, obviously, unsurprisingly, self-compassion work is super important for Capricorn placement.
Yes. And I think it's so interesting. I think that they really want to go towards self-awareness.
Yeah.
Which just kind of recycles the pain.
That's so accurate.
And they don't as easily add in the self-compassion.
100%.
Which is necessary.
Yeah, because self-awareness is not something that they really struggle with.
No, and self-awareness in and of itself can just be really painful,
Yeah.
where you're just aware of how these rotten things feel or whatever, you know?
And it just adds to the same narrative of look how inadequate I am because I can't even get past these things that are about me. And
exactly.
I'm just so
and
this,
I'm working so hard and I'm like, you know,
yes,
doing so much and losing myself in that. And I don't even know who I am or what I'm doing. And so yeah, totally. The self-compassion and I think using that self-awareness, though, in a more intentional way, a more compassionate way, because that is a strength. But you have to make sure you use it as a strength. Don't let it become a liability.
Exactly. And I put work-life balance, too, because...
Oof, yes.
And I definitely mean, like, work, like the traditional way of looking at that, your job and your personal life and having balance there. Yes, obviously, yes. But also, like... everything sort of becomes work to them sometimes. So it's like, okay, some things cannot be commodified.
Oh my gosh.
You can just do things for the sake of doing them because they feel good and that's okay.
Well, yeah, and also like why don't you just like have your relationship and not have to like work on your relationship all the time? Just have it. Just, you know.
Just have your little life.
Yes. Just have it. It's great.
It's hard for them.
I know. But I think, like I was just saying, I think built within their skill set, they have the skills to shift and flip this stuff and put as much quote unquote work into balancing it as they do into it becoming imbalanced.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's in there.
The antidote is there.
All right, okay. Aquarius.
Here we go, Aquarius. Get ready.
So ready.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Let me guess.
Yeah, exactly. Aloofness. Rebelliousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more, but I think that kind of, they're all kind of synonymous of the same things. Aloofness, rebelliousness.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a deep fear, and this is one where I don't think that every sign would be like, oh yeah, I get that, because I really do think that some would be like, I never think about that, because we're getting to that point in the zodiac wheel. Fear of conformity and losing one's self.
Right.
They're so afraid to be ordinary.
Well, yeah, because I think it's like that leads to, like you're saying, losing yourself, but also to just feeling erased or ignored too.
Yes.
You know, it kind of goes back to those really basic shame kind of feelings.
Yeah.
You know, of like, if I can't stand out, if I can't, you know, reject everything around me, then how's anyone going to know I have an opinion? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then there's just the detachment comes, and it's like, where did you go?
Yes.
What happened?
Totally.
Where did you,
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
sorry, I'll just add and just quickly say along with that aloofness is also that quality of just like, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah, what?
Because like you'll bring up something, a really realistic, practical thing, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's your, every day you're what?
Yeah, like people will be talking about, I don't know, for example, like eating healthier or something.
Exactly, something
and they'll
like
be
that.
like, just eat healthier.
Yeah. Or they're like, I do. And I saw what you heard. It's not. Right? It's not that.
Or like, it's not that hard. Just literally eat healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not super helpful, but like, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yep. So I think practicing not going away to the clouds, staying with everyone here, and empathy for other people, and really trying to understand that maybe they have struggle with eating healthy and that it's not as simple as that. That emotional connection and understanding and leaning into that. Because, again, like you said, the antidote is there. Aquarius is, in theory, so community-minded.
Exactly.
So humanity-minded. Is the sign of, like, friendship and help and mutual aid. Okay, do that instead of the other thing.
Yes.
More. Just try.
Yeah, just try.
Just try.
You can do it. Just do it.
You can do it.
It's
Just do it. It's not that hard.
It's so easy.
Such an Aquarius thing.
Turning the tables.
I love it.
Oof. Okay, we are up to Pisces. We're on our last
one.
zodiac sign.
Last but certainly not least, as you know.
Yeah, but also like, oh God. Okay, what's this gonna be?
I know, it almost makes you feel like you're going through it.
I know.
It does.
I know. I don't want you to say these ones.
I am sorry.
No, say them. It's okay.
I'll say them fast. Escapism, victimization, lack of boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all there.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Poor babies. I know, and it's poor baby sounds like infantilizing, and I'm not trying to do that.
It sounds like we're agreeing that they are a victim.
I know, which is not healthy and not good for them.
No, because they're not.
No, and you can't lean into that with them because that's not what they need, and it's not healthy.
No.
Yeah, the rough thing here is, again, like the call is coming from inside the house. The fear is of reality. The fear is of tough emotions. And so rather than feeling them, they just run away from them.
Yeah, and I think it's like you're saying, this fear of tough emotions, but I think it's like the fear that they can't handle the tough emotions.
Right.
And so they avoid them entirely.
Right.
You know? Like, what will happen to them if they try to do the hard thing, and they just, it's scary.
Or just let things happen and not, like what will happen if they do the hard thing, or what will happen if they just sit with hard truths.
Right.
You know, they don't want to know. And it's the ironic thing is that they're so good at handling deep and complex, emotions and layers and gray areas. And like, they'll help anybody to like normalize those for themselves, for those people. But for themselves, they're, and gosh, the boundaries are very important also for Pisces.
Yes.
Very important.
Yeah. So what's the advice?
Well, that's one, is boundaries.
Yes, okay, I know. But what else?
And then I think an important thing for Pisces, because they tend to be so creative-minded, and I don't just mean artistic. That doesn't just mean art. It just means there's a creativity there. But I think...
like a way of thinking about everything.
Yes, exactly. Pursuing whatever it is, creatively speaking, that helps them to process emotions that they maybe can't necessarily verbalize, because Pisces are on a whole other plane. Like they're just there. They're seeing and dealing with things that we don't even know, and so trying to shoehorn that into, a reality that doesn't make sense. Don't do that. Find ways of processing that in a way that you can express that, get that out. That is maybe unconventional.
Right, because they are in that kind of space that's very, nebulous. And I will also just add maybe to that, I think really intentionally developing a sense of agency over yourself and your own life.
Very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that. The other thing I'll just add to close up is, as much as we're saying all of this, I have seen people who are Pisces do some of the deepest, most transformative work that I've ever encountered. And so it is so possible.
It's so possible.
For all of them, but since we're on this last one, to kind of get into a better space where you're using all of this in a way that's healthy and happy for yourself. So anyways,
Yes, that's why we love you guys so much. We talk about it all the time.
Oh, totally. I do. I love a Pisces energy, but...
Wow, all right. That was some big witch energy.
That was so much big witch energy.
It was a lot. But just, again, be careful with yourselves. Everybody
gentle.
Be gentle. Be compassionate with yourselves. It's a through line throughout this whole thing. And it's very basic advice and like kind of a starting point into like delving into this shadow stuff. But I think it's a really good, just sit with this for a while. Let us know what your questions are, or comments, or...
Yeah, and in a couple weeks, we will have part 2, where we're going to go over benefic and malefic planets. We're going to go over opposition and polarity energies in houses and other point placements in your chart. So it's going to be cool and interesting, and we'll give you some different tools on how to do shadow work as well. These were kind of specific to the signs and kind of addressing that, but we'll give you some more general tools for how to get started with some of this stuff. So, can't wait. Also, I'm exhausted. So,
same.
Let's sign off.
Let's do that.
Until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and hosted by us, Ashley Sidner
and Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Art direction by Violet Turner. Culture consultant Jane Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. Look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including TikTok and Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.